So, welcome back. It is Wednesday, and we're doing another Real Talk session. So, my name is Norma Fran, and I am from Norma Fran Coaching and the founder of Weight Loss Your Way. And every week, I'm coming live here on Facebook and over on YouTube to just have some real talk about weight loss your way. And each week, I'm trying to share a little bit from my thinking about weight loss and how you can pretty easily start applying some of these concepts to your process. So before we dive in, just a quick reminder about questions. I would love to take any questions that you have. And all you need to do is put them in the comments. Or if there's something that you'd rather not ask on a public forum like this, send me a private message or send me an email. And I have that in the posting section. Whether you're in Facebook or over on YouTube, you can find that there, and it's just support@normafrancoaching.com. So thank you so much for being here. If you're on replay, thank you for watching, and let's just dive right in. So last week, on March 1st, if you haven't seen this, you can go back and watch, but I talked about how you can start getting some good awareness about how you currently think of food and your eating behaviors, more specifically, that good and bad food list that we all seem to have running in the background. So today, I want to take that one step further. So make sure you go back and listen to that Real Talk episode from March 1st. And this might make a little more sense if you do that. Let's see. So, if you made your good and bad food list from last week and you took a little bit of time with it, you probably have a little more awareness about how you're currently labeling food and maybe even some of those sneaky little food rules that you didn't even know were there. And hopefully, you've had a chance to practice a little bit, kind of ripping those labels off and practicing maybe eating some of those foods that you had always thought of as just bad food. Because when you get right down to it, food is just food. It's not good or it's not bad. So this week, we're going to talk about how to plan what you will eat, what you actually will eat. Because if we're not labeling the food as good or bad, all the food's available to you, right? Now, that doesn't mean it's just a big free for all. Absolutely not. It means that nothing is off limits, but you'll now be practicing being very intentional about your food choices and start learning how to balance those choices between the foods that you'll eat most of the time because they support your weight loss goals and they feel good in your body and you like those foods. And then some of the time, you might just be eating some food simply because you enjoy that particular food, because there's no good or bad, right? So, my favorite tool to practice the skill of being really intentional about choosing the foods that you're going to eat is writing a daily food plan. So, let me explain what this would look like. So, when you're writing a daily food plan, every morning you're going to set aside 5 to 10 minutes. And the more you do this, the shorter this time you need to actually make the plan. You're going to write down the food that you will eat for that day. And you're going to include all of it, all the meals, all the snacks, everything that you think you will want to eat that day. Now, don't overthink this. It's so easy to overthink it, but try to keep this simple. I don't need you to write down weights or measurements or even the ingredients that go into the casserole you're having for dinner. We're not doing that. We're keeping this really simple. All you need to do is think about your day and the food that's available to you, and then make a realistic list of what you think you will eat on that day. So here's an example. This might be maybe what my plan would look like. So for breakfast, I just wrote down 2 eggs, a piece of toast, orange juice, and coffee. Lunch, turkey sandwich with some soup, some chips, and then at dinner, a chicken casserole with a vegetable and a glass of milk. And then for snacks, I wrote down I wrote down a few snacks because I wasn't sure exactly what I'd want, but I wanted to have them on my list. So I wrote down pretzels, fruit and cheese, and 3 Oreos. So here's where that good and bad list comes into play. Your diet brain will want you to write down all of the diet food, the food that was formerly on your good list because they were good for you to eat if you're trying to lose weight. These are the foods that you probably are thinking you should eat. But we're not doing that with the daily food plan. With the daily food plan, we're remembering that this is not a diet plan. It's a real life plan, and the only food that should be on this list is the food you will actually eat. So if it's pizza night and you usually eat 3 slices, don't put down 1 slice and a side salad on your plan unless you're 100% certain that's what you will eat. Same thing goes for sitting in front of the TV at night. If you normally have a bowl of ice cream in front of the TV, put it on your plan, write it down. Now, I can't stress this enough. It must be a doable plan, one that you're completely confident you can execute. It's not a diet plan. So make it real and make it doable. All right. Makes sense? Let me just quickly check and see if there's any questions. Okay. All right. Part 2 then, now that you have your plan, you just need to follow your plan. A well thought out, intentional plan doesn't leave anything to chance. It's so important to not only think about the food that you will eat, but also consider the kind of day you have ahead of you. And if you know your day is going to be particularly full and you're likely to be pretty tired by the end of the day, by the time dinner rolls around, then plan for something that might be a little quicker or easier to prepare. Or maybe place an order for takeout and have it ready. So all you have to do is pull up after work, go in and get it, or have it delivered even. But plan ahead. Think about your day, and as you're thinking about food, make sure you're thinking about how your day might look. And because we're trying to make this as easy as possible, right? So the point of doing all of this kind of thinking about your day is you don't want to leave it up to chance. So what happens when you kind of leave your food choices up to chance and then you have one of those just horrendous days? The likelihood of you showing up with your goals in mind at 5 or 6 o'clock at night when you're exhausted is much less likely. But if you have a plan and you've committed to that plan, there's no decision to be made. You've already made the decision. You just need to execute. So your daily plan serves 2 purposes, 2 different but equally important purposes. First, like I've been saying all along here, it teaches you how to choose your food intentionally. And when you plan in advance, you're doing it with your best self in mind. That's why it's always so good to do it in the morning when you're fresh and you can kind of objectively look at your day. And when you do that, you're considering what might come up in your day, like I said, and you're planning your food choices around those circumstances or events. And having that plan in place, it gives you a fighting chance when your day does go sideways. And it would be just so much easier just to run through the drive-through at night. But if you have a plan and you've got it all prepared and you know what you're going to do, you don't have to think about it. You don't have decisions to make. You just need to execute. And then, second, and I personally think this is even more important, is that writing a plan and then executing on it teaches you how to show up for yourself, to do what you said you would do for you, to have your own back. And showing up for yourself through your daily food plan is the very thing that's going to allow you to start building confidence in yourself and start showing yourself that, yeah, I can do this. And then when you start to feel that confidence, what happens? You gain momentum. And then that momentum carries you into the next day and the next day. So committing to your plan is key. Make it non-negotiable. Tell your brain right out of the gate that this is what we're doing today, no matter what. And then just commit and roll with it. Now, there is no better feeling than going to bed at night and feeling proud of how you showed up in that day for you. And this daily food plan is a beautiful way to do that. So here's the key to making it real and kind of sealing that deal with yourself, making it non negotiable. You have to write this down. You have to write your plan down on a piece of paper, get it out of your head, and have it on paper. Don't let your brain fool you into thinking that you'll remember. Planning in your head rarely works. Putting it on paper solidifies it, it makes it real and tangible, and it's something you can look at and remind yourself what it was you said you would do that day. Excuse me. Now, here's a pro tip. Snap a picture of your plan on your phone and then put it on your home screen. It'll be with you all day. You can look at it whenever you want. It's just right there. So there's no excuse. There's no worrying about dragging around the notebook with you that you write it down in or worrying about somebody seeing it or anything like that. Just snap a picture, put it on your phone, delete it the next day, bring your next one in. There's just so many ways to make this simple. Let me grab a drink. Okay. So this little 5 to 10 minute activity every morning truly turned out to be the first thing I ever really committed to that was 100% for me. I could commit to a diet all day long, but that wasn't committing to myself. I was committing to somebody else's plan or program. But when I wrote down my daily food plan and then followed it every day, I was committing to myself. And that was probably the very first time. Excuse me. Now, here's a little thing to keep in mind. Oh, hey, Jenny. Nice to see you here. Thank you for coming in. Let's see. So, here we are with the plans. Treat it like an experiment. Plan different foods. Notice how they feel in your body and what's going on in your head. Are you having those thoughts like, "Ooh, I shouldn't eat this"? That's just a little warning that you're probably still thinking in that good, bad food mindset. Catch yourself when you're doing that and then try to redirect that a little bit. And then be don't be perfectionistic with this. There is no perfectionism here. Some days you're going to overplan. Some days you're not going to plan enough. There's going to be times when you forget all about that luncheon at work that you're supposed to attend and you're going to have to shift gears, and it's all okay. There's no perfectionism in this process. There's only learning. And that's the whole point of figuring out weight loss your way. If you keep working on a plan every day, eventually you're going to have it dialed in and you're going to know what foods you like and the foods that you really don't care to have on that plan. You're going to know what it takes to feel satisfied, and you're going to know how to navigate those unexpected things that pop up in your day. So give it an honest try. 1 or 2 days is not enough. It's not going to create that habit. And it's really going to take a good 2 weeks of committing to writing this plan. And I promise you what will happen. You're going to start to build a little confidence, and that momentum I talked about is going to start to build. So start out trying to commit to just 2 weeks of daily planning. And then check back in with yourself. How's it going? What changes have you noticed? Are there any little tweaks that you can make to customize your process? And then keep going. Let's see. Let me just got a quick question here. So, do you write your food plan at night, before, or the morning of? I've done it both ways, and I think you can do it either way. I typically started out doing it in the morning. It's because when I think the best in the morning, I have a clear head. I found when I tried to do it at night, a lot of times the baggage from the day was still with me, and it was really hard to think clearly. Um, so I switched it to morning, and I've been doing it in the morning ever since for that reason. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Um, I've worked with a lot of women who actually prefer to do it at night, though, and the benefits they find are that you typically have your family or your partner, whomever you you'll be having meals with, or there in the home with you, and you can have a conversation. You can talk about, what's your day like? What do we want to have for dinner tomorrow night? Sometimes that's easier to get that process started when you have a little input from the people that are in your life. So sometimes evenings is good, and then you just get up the next day and roll with your plan. Let's see. I'm just looking at some comments here. Okay, yeah. Yeah, Jenny said too, breaking the good and bad food mindset seems impossible sometimes. Doesn't happen overnight. And it really requires you to be really intentional and try to catch those thoughts and just know that some of those food rules and the way you think about food, you've probably been carrying around for a very long time. Gosh, it's been 5 years for me, and I consider myself really good at this now, and they still pop up sometimes. I've just gotten better at catching them. I don't know that they ever completely go away, but when you get really good at spotting them and then saying, "Nope, we're not doing that," and redirecting those thoughts, it gets so much easier. Let's see, what else do we have? All right. I think that is everything I have for you today. So I hope you give it a try. And I would love for you to tell me how it goes for you. And remember what I said in the beginning, anytime at all, drop a question in the comments to these videos. I go back and check them regularly. We'll compile them and have a Q&A session the next week, or I'll respond to you personally if you want to drop a DM or an email. So I would love to hear how this goes for you. And if you really like Real Talk Wednesday and want more of Weight Loss Your Way, subscribe wherever you're watching, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or I'm also going to have this video over on my Substack page, and I would love to see you over there too. All right. That is what I have for you today. Have fun planning, and I will see you next week.